On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the Director General of the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association. He brought us up to speed on how employers are faring in this economy, while also emphasizing its role towards ensuring that there are more jobs for youth. It's good to have you on the program.
Good evening. Thank you for having us once again.
After a long time. Yes, a lot of things are happening in the world of work.
Yeah.
For me today, I'm concerned about how the employers are actually reacting to several activities in the country, most especially that of the minimum wage. As a journalist observing, the minimum wage meetings seem to look like a private meeting. I don't know if you have any clarification on that before we move on.
Well, there is supposed to be a private part of it, and also to be a public part. The private part, that's the work of the committee, which they are supposed to do conscientiously and diligently. And because of the sensitive nature of part of the conversation, some of the conversations will remain at the committee level until the appropriate persons, probably the chairman, probably the secretary, can now give some definitive statements as per what the committee has done. This is what the outcome of the conversation that we've had. The public part of it is the public hearing that was done at the 6 geographical zones, where different stakeholders were called in to share their perspective, share their views, and this was well attended at the 6 geographical zones. And the report of the public hearings were also shared during one of the meetings of the committee. So the key part of it is still ongoing as we speak.
The Nigerian Labour Congress, or organized labor generally, they are requesting that a new national minimum wage should be announced come May 1st. How visible is this?
Well, part of the conclusions, part of the consensus, at the committee also is that, okay, as much as it's practicable, May 1st, we work towards May 1st, work towards completing the work before May 1st. As a conversation is still going on. For us, you can wrap up the whole conversation in 2 days. You can wrap up the whole work of the committee in 3 days. Once employers make their recommendation and the union's expectation aligns with the employers' recommendations, and the government's recommendation aligns with everybody's recommendation, and once we all agree on the figure, or if by whatever reason our figure aligns, what are we talking about? So the work ended immediately.
Okay, so if you're saying that it's possible within 2 to 3 days for you to come up with your recommendations, what is the recommendation of the organized private sector, owing to the fact that we know the recommendation of organized labor, which is about 600,000 naira as minimum wage? That was their proposal.
The recommendations are meant to be for the consumption of a subcommittee. Now, this is how the committee works, and to the best of what we can share, what is allowable to share to the public. The committee will dissolve into subcommittees, and each of the subcommittees is a subcommittee to look at each part of the act. One part is the issue of exemptions. One part is the issue of penalties, enforcement and penalties. One part is the issue of regularity of review, and about five parts, and then the 6th one is the recommendation of the national minimum wage. All parties are supposed to submit their recommendations to the committee, to the subcommittee, so they have to look at those committees.
Have you
Absolutely, the employers responsibly have submitted their recommendation to the subcommittee. It's expected that labor absolutely we won't be able to share that conversation now for various reasons. You unnecessarily create tension. You unnecessarily.
But organized labor has shared what's their recommendation.
Well, from what we read, if you read yours from where we read ours, from the Punch, said we, as much as possible, a faceless individual. They said that Punch couldn't, that the newspaper couldn't even mention, which is worrisome. No credible source from the NLC have said. Was quoted. They didn't quote the president, they didn't quote the secretary general. The source also did not quote TUC president, it did not quote the TUC secretary general. Neither did they quote any member of the of the union team, which makes that figure quite suspect. So we have decided to treat that figure with better neglect.
For someone that is in the industry, would you say that the leaked information, supposed leaked information, do you think that figure is actually doable for the organized private sector? Now,
this is what we'll look at. When the ILO Convention 131 gave the framework for deciding minimum wage, it gave about 3-4 parameters. One, the needs of workers and their families, the economic situation of the country at any particular time. They brought in issue of enterprise sustainability, and also in the course of the narration of the convention or recommendation, issue of productivity also came in. It's 650 for the most vulnerable, not you, not me, but the most vulnerable of workers. Is that realistic? Even for economists to judge. But fundamentally, and of importance to us is this. 2 critical issues you must look at when you are coming up with this, when we are arriving at the figures. One, you should not set it too low, because if you set the minimum wage too low, you'll be perpetuating poverty. Now, if you set it too high, you have created a good ground for non-compliance. You have set a good ground for enterprises that couldn't pay to probably go to the extent of retrenching in order to balance their books. And also, you have also created another problem for the judiciary, because in the last act, part of the condition is that if an employer cannot pay, then the employee is at liberty to take the employer to court. So we'll have created the dynamics of crisis for ourselves. So we believe strongly that when the committee reconvenes, the committee is going to look at all the parameters, the needs of workers and their families, the current economic situation, enterprise sustainability, and also the issue of productivity. All those condiments, as women we call it, before you cook the soup, you bring all the condiments together and look.
Let's just quickly move on to the issue of expatriate quota and expatriate levy. We know that the federal government has suspended action on this. What will be your reaction to this in terms of the world of work, knowing that we have immigrants everywhere trying to earn their living? How is NECA reacting to this as the representative of the employers' body?
First, we want to commend the President. We want to also commend the Honorable Minister for Interior, and also the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Trade and Investment, for the role they played in the suspension, and for demonstrating leadership. Leadership within the context of listening to the fears expressed or concerns expressed by organized businesses. I think that is quite commendable, and they've demonstrated leadership. Now, our perspective is not from the issue of wanting to raise issues where there are no issues. We are committed, absolutely committed to building institutions and also enshrining appropriateness in all facets of our national life. And the fundamental issues we raise, well, one is the fee, is it legal in the context of, is there any act of the National Assembly backing it up? Those are institutional issues that we raise. 2, we raise the issue of currently as it is, where Nigeria is in dire need of foreign direct investment, whether we like it or not. That is it not a contradiction that we go out? The President has spent quite a bit of time marketing the country that investors should come in. Is it not contradictory that we are at the same time asking them to come, and at the same time we are creating some level of bottleneck? Thirdly, for us, is the issue of the law. The Immigration Act gives certain conditions before an expatriate can come in. Now, are we saying the Immigration Act has failed? If the law has failed, then we can review the law. If the law is still applicable and the people implementing the law are the problem, then we should change the people. So we should not pick out scapegoats. Every other time, we pick the private sector as a scapegoat for things that are not really working. So We think we should build institutions. And we have Nigerians. In the last 2 years, the number of Nigerians that have left this country to get jobs outside. They are experts. We have tech experts. We have people in the banking industry. They did not leave principally because their job was under threat. They left because they needed the economy, the macroeconomic situation was not favorable to them, or they felt it wasn't favorable to them, and that's why they left. So nobody's job was technically under threat. So the argument that to protect Nigerian jobs for us, it's neither here nor there. A good number of Nigerian experts have also left this country. Now, if the other country decide to come up with the reciprocity, then are we ready to accommodate the mass or the problem that those Nigerians we bring on us? And come to think of it, we pride ourselves, or in the context of the economy, we quote gleefully the amount of remittances that come into this country every year. Those remittances, they come into the country because our brothers and sisters are working conveniently in other countries. So those are the issues that we looked at. We are not saying really that there are no abuse. There are abuses, but when there are abuses, then institutions and laws and regulations are meant to curb abuses. So let's strengthen those institutions. Let's strengthen the law if the need arises, rather than just coming up with what we think is an arbitrary $15,000, which we feel will do more harm to organized businesses than any good. And come to think of it also, when you look at it holistically, whether directly or indirectly, we have all conspired to destroy or almost destroy the educational system of this country. We have graduates, after many strikes, the university calls them back in 6 months. People finish a level. Where does that happen? So we've consistently conspired. The system have conspired to either destroy or either compromise our educational system. That the average graduate you are bringing in is fitting into the industry is also contentious. So for a business, so why will I employ the products that the universities that you have conspired to destroy? Why will I employ them? Because they are not really prepared for the industry. So it's a big issue that we need to look at holistically before we arrive at many major direction.
Very quickly, talking about skill set match in the workplace, we also know there's this issue of unemployment in Nigeria, and we know the employer's body intervention towards ensuring that it's mitigated by coming up with a job fair. And what would you say has been the response of job seekers towards this project?
So thank you for that very important question. For NECA, we are a business membership organization, and we are also much more than that. We don't only raise these concerns, we also come up with recommendations as per policy options, and also within the context of our limitation, also take practical steps to address certain issues. We have an institutional employability scheme that we run, and that is also helping Nigerian youths to develop their skills, so that they become more employable for the industry. And fortunately for us, we'll be running a job fair sometimes in May, and our focus basically is green economy. The green economy. The ILO have said that in the green economy, there are over 20 million jobs that exist in the green economy. Jobs from renewable energy, jobs from just transition, jobs from issues concerning climate and climate change. And our focus this year is to take a critical look at the green jobs, and also draw attention to the opportunities in green, that an average Nigerian youth can actually explore the massive opportunity in green, so that they can rather than looking for the traditional job. Green provides a lot of opportunities. So we'll be looking at green jobs as another frontier for job creation in Nigeria. It's happening in May. Then we'll run in Abuja. Then we'll run in Port Harcourt and Enugu.
Oh, so you've expanded.
Yeah, we've expanded. Last year we ran in Port Harcourt. We did in Abuja. This year we'll also be running in all those locations. Yeah.
There's been a lot of accidents in the workplace recently, and some workers have to pay the biggest price, which would be losing their lives. As the biggest voice for the employers, what would be your message towards ensuring that the workplace is safe?
Safety and health is now a core convention. It's now a major issue in the ILO, a core convention. And we'll continue to encourage employers to do whatever is needful to make the workplace safer. Notwithstanding that, accidents do happen, and our role is to continuously educate our workers, enforce safety procedures. Wherever it's necessary, wherever you need to invest in safety, we need to do that. Now, one of the things we've done in time past is to collaborate with the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, the NSITF, and we run a safe workplace intervention program. We call it Safe Workplace Intervention Program. And the program is aimed at doing a critical audit of all organizations to identify the gaps in their safety and health procedures. And those that came out tops, they were encouraged with certain equipment, they were given awards, they were showcased to the world as the best in practice has come to say occupational health and safety. Those that are not doing very well, they were assisted with some limited equipment to upscale their investment in health and safety. Unfortunately, the Safe Workplace Intervention Project has suffered some setback, and we are reaching out to NSITF again that project should be brought back, because rather than spend huge amount of money paying compensation, why don't we bridge the gap from the end, from the back end, assist this organization with information, with a bit of equipment, so that we can consistently save, protect or reduce the incidence of accidents, because the value of money they will spend paying compensation will drastically reduce, because the awareness on safety will have been of scale. So we'll keep engaging and we'll keep encouraging employers that as much as practicable, we continue to invest in safety for the benefit of all.
Finally, it's going to be the Workers' Day in some few days. What would be your message to employers of labor, workers, and government?
First, to workers, we really want to commend the resilience of Nigerian workers. They've played their part in the context of national development. As employers, we'll continue to support Nigerian workers. We'll continue to take their welfare, as paramount within the context of our limitation. We'll continue to promote decent work. We'll continue to promote occupational health and safety, and trusting that the workers from their side will also upscale productivity, because they have to meet the employers somewhere in the middle. For government, we want to urge the government to continue to do the needful. Even the conversation about the minimum wage, it is less of the figure. It is more of what the figure can buy. So government should also step up its reforms and ensure that those reforms start yielding the necessary fruits. Once the economy is booming, and then you realize the value of the naira becomes stronger. So a naira can buy much more. And for employers, you really, really want to commend your resilience, want to commend your doggedness, want to commend your staying power. And in spite of all the challenges we have faced, multi-dimensional taxes, challenges with forex at a point, electricity tariff was recently increased. Notwithstanding all this, employers have remained resolute, providing welfare, keeping the economy going, and keeping households going. So kudos to employers, and we just hope that in the next few months, the economy will return back to a real growth path, so that we can all enjoy the prosperity that the president promised us.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.